Hi.
Hey kid, watch yourself.
I was in the middle of...
I'm just saying, just be careful.
Why are you smoking? We don't smoke.
You see this? This is an ice pop. You're treading on it, punk.
That's not the expression.
Hey, alright, don't shoot the messenger, I'm just saying.
Look, alright, I get what you're saying, okay? I am planning to talk about a subject that people are very passionate about, so I need to be mindful to articulate myself properly as to not be taken out of context.
You got it, kid. Stay in school.
Okay? Hi, responsible space wizard KickThePj here. Today I'm not here to spark controversy and upset a load of people who identify with particular fandoms, so please do watch the whole video before you fire off a comment. I merely want to have an adult discussion about something that has been cooking in my brain box for a little while now, and that is fandoms. Are they a bad thing?
A little hippity hoppin'. A little hippity hoppin'.
I want to preface this entire video by saying that I'm going to be approaching this topic as open-mindedly as possible. My brain is going to be an open book, hopefully one that makes sense. I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while. In fact, specifically since February this year, when I tweeted some videos of me rocking out on my guitar to some Undertale tunes. I got a response to these videos that I found super fascinating from a Twitter user named Levi. They said this: does anyone feel that conflict of, it's so good, song is great, Undertale great, but then there's this overwhelming sense of cringe because of the constant bombardment of the fanbase when the game first released? And this blew my mind a little bit. It was a grim reminder to me that we live in this world where there's this notion that you should be ashamed for liking something based on how other people treat the property. That is the starting point for our discussion today. So I responded saying, I generally enjoy things without engaging with the fan base. Toby Fox worked hard to create something that I thought was awesome, and I appreciate the story and the music, but I don't care for fan theories and shipping characters, etc. First of all, I want to correct myself. I disagree with PJ from the past. Wait, what? I don't disagree about the shipping part because I still have no interest in that, but the not engaging with the fan base part. What? The whole reason I rehearsed and recorded those Undertale songs was because I wanted fans of the game to see it and think, oh hey, that's pretty neat. Additionally, when a show I love is airing, like Game of Thrones or Westworld or Legion or anything else for that matter, I dive deep into forums like a little freaking internet goblin, reading about all the lore of the show and all the little bits that I might have missed in the episode. That seems pretty engaged to me, PJ. Hell, just look at my office. It is filled to the brim with figurines and memorabilia of all the things that I love. And geez, did I forget the most basic level of engagement? Just talking to friends about things that I like. Okay, there we go. I can stop waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat worrying about having said something on the internet that I no longer agree with. Sorry for that small diversion. I think the sense of cringe that Levi was referring to was not induced by the Undertale fandom simply talking about the game. I think Levi was referring to a portion of the fanbase that liked to express their passion for the game in slightly louder ways, is I think a fair way of metaphorically putting it. Which, spoiler alert, exists in every kind of fan base for everything that exists. Hell, I am the self-appointed chairman for the Sweet Potato... Potato? The Sweet Pataties fan club. It doesn't get much more extreme than that. Hey Brad, do you want a sweet potato?
Yes, I love sweet potato.
Look at that, the Sweet Potato fandom coming together as one.
Don't touch me.
We get together once a week, we eat a sweet potato, we sacrifice a plain potato, we do a little dance. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that being a more vocal member of a fandom is a bad thing. If you want to cosplay as a wonderful goat mum, or write sexy fan fiction about your favorite two characters, you do you, my friend. You have found a way to express yourself in artistic ways, and that is genuinely brilliant. Equally, if none of that interests you and you just want to passively enjoy something, that is also totally fine. It's also possible you might find yourself somewhere in between, like me. Like I said, I like to learn how to play songs from games I like that have really rad music. I like to draw characters from games because I love drawing, and I love to collect artwork from games like figurines and pins and statues. Now that we're well and truly into this marathon, it's time to go a little bit deeper. For my next example, you need an incredibly high IQ to even understand what I'm going to be talking about. Yes, that is right. Rick and Morty. I find Rick and Morty to be a funny and well-made show. It's very well animated, it appeals to my darker sensibilities with humor, it has great voice acting and absurd character designs. Cool, all of that is my kind of thing. Is the show God's gift to mankind? No. Do you actually need a really high IQ to watch it? No, it just exists. It is just a thing that exists. I chose Rick and Morty as an example because I thought it'd really help me illustrate the point that a lot of people are turned off of something based on how they perceive a fan base of that thing to be. The other day I was hanging out with a bunch of friends and we were talking about shows that we like. We got talking about Rick and Morty and one guy in the room said,
Yeah, I've never seen Rick and Morty, but it's a bit cringe now, isn't it?
What? You've never seen it, but it's cringe now? What? I was genuinely very curious as to where that thought was coming from. So I very innocently asked, what makes you say that? And he said verbatim,
Well, it's the fans, isn't it? The fans have made it proper cringe now.
my mind was going a million miles per hour trying to decipher what exactly he meant. The fans. The fans of the show? I'm a fan of the show. Did I do something wrong? No. No, I think I know exactly what he was referring to. Let us cast the fishing lines of our minds back to the pond that was last year in hopes that we catch a big fish. This isn't really an analogy that's working. Let's talk about last year, yeah? You may or may not remember, but last year, for a limited time, McDonald's re-released an old Szechuan sauce that was referenced in Rick and Morty. Hordes of Happy Meal hungry Rick and Morty fans swarmed McDonald's to sample this sweet, sweet nectar of the gods, only to find that everybody's favorite clown, Ronald McDonald, didn't manufacture enough of the stuff. They only had like 20 packets per restaurant, which, granted, was a mistake on McDonald's part. I'm sure that when they ran out, they were expecting people to just say, oh, okay, never mind, I'll just have some ketchup instead. But no, they did not realize how passionate Rick and Morty fans can be. People were not happy about the lack of sauce. Riots ensued. Grown adults crowding, pushing, screaming, getting Larry at McDonald's staff, all because they couldn't get their sticky little fingers on the slightly stickier teriyaki flavored sauce. That last part was obviously a little bit of hyperbole for effect. I'm sure not all of their fingers were sticky. In short, it was all very, very silly and frankly quite embarrassing to watch unfold. And I genuinely find it fascinating how person who riots over sauce has become the perception of Rick and Morty fans. A YouTuber called Chairman Ma made a satirical video during the Szechuan sauce riots. I'm sorry, how dumb does that sound? The Szechuan sauce riots? That actually sounds like something that Justin Roiland would write. Oh my god, we're living in the darkest timeline. Chairman Ma did this pickle-re bit, basically doing an extreme imitation of how fans of the show are perceived.
Where's my Szechuan sauce? Woman love a dog. I'm Pickle Rick. I'm Pickle Rick.
This video fucking floored me the first time I watched it. I was howling with laughter. Just look at his little Naruto run at the end. Whew! I think this is what my friend had in mind when he thought the fans were making the show proper cringe. Does this mean the entirety of the fandom is bad? Do their actions mean the show is bad? Is this even an accurate representation of the fandom as a whole? I say no. I find more often than not it's the louder, more in-your-face media sources that talk about all the crazy things fans of something do, rather than talking about how well crafted something is. And look, I get it. Writing an article about people going berserk over a source gets clicks. But then I think this representation gets into our heads, and then it slowly shifts our perception to thinking, yeah, that's a little bit cringe now. When in reality, most people just enjoy the show like this.
Morty, we gotta go to space and get the Szechuan sauce. Morty, come on, we gotta go.
But nobody's gonna write an article saying, pretty normal guy watches new Rick and Morty episode. It's just about it. They're not gonna do that. They're just not. For my next point, I want to look more towards us as passive consumers than the hardcore fan bases themselves. If you're dismissing something or slamming something down before giving it a fair chance, then not only are you going to be missing out on something that you might genuinely end up really liking, but it also does a disservice to everybody who put a lot of work into it. And every piece of art we consume, every film, every TV show, every game, there is a whole team of people behind it working their asses off to make it. Writers, directors, musicians, actors, voice actors, animators, cinematographers, and so many more. So many people. And just because a lot of people work on something does not give it an immediate pass. It still has to be good, but just try not to let your perception of a fan base distort your view on the actual content itself. And you don't have to watch every single iteration of something just to say, yeah, I don't think that was for me. If you weren't that keen on the first Despicable Me film, you can probably skip the rest. B-Movie is an example of something that was memed to hell and back. And I'm sure a lot of those people making those memes have never even seen the film, at least not at normal speed. I watched it back in like 2011. I was hungover, it was New Year's Day, and it was just on TV. And I remember being pleasantly surprised. It was actually quite good. But now I think a lot of people who might have liked it are now going to miss out on it. Then, what if those people start applying those perceptions to other films similar in style? The Lego Movie, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? No thanks, I think I'm going to pass. They look like B-Movie. Maybe you would look at all three of those films and think, oh, they all just kind of look the same. I'm not into that. But they're all really good, particularly Cloudy and Lego Movie. But we cannot talk about about animated movies without just briefly mentioning the one that took the world by storm, the game changer, the one that made us all think, what? That is right, everybody. The Emoji Movie. I didn't like the Emoji Movie. Talking emojis, not really my kind of thing, would you believe? But then it wasn't really aimed at me. However, I gave it a fair chance because I didn't want to be one of those people that just slammed something down without even watching it first. And even though the Emoji Movie became a massive joke last year, no matter how much you may disagree with the film, if you look at it completely objectively, you must be able to admit, all things considered, the animation quality, it's pretty good. Look, I'm talking completely objectively here. Throw away those feelings for just a second. I can see that a team of clearly very skilled animators who are very competent in 3D modeling and rigging all sat down and worked hard to make it. It's the nature of animation. It's not an easy thing to do. Sure, I don't think anyone's passion project was the Emoji Movie, but the animation looked pretty good, I'll give it that much. When I was a kid, the best animated film we got was Space Jam. It was a dark time. Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny grab Michael Jordan from our world, take him back to theirs. There's aliens! Maybe play a bit of b-ball. Bill Murray, maybe play a bit of b-ball, maybe? So throughout the video, I've been in favor of fandoms quite a lot, but I think we need to go back to that initial question. Is there an instance in which fandoms can be bad? Fans doing their thing and drawing sexy drawings of their favorite characters doesn't affect anyone else in any way. Unless you purposely seek it out just to shout at it, then that's kind of on you. I think my issue lies with when certain actions begin to affect the original creator. For example, if something like a character was taken from a show and it was extremely over-memed in a negative way, which unfortunately has to become a verb now, then if that led to the original creator saying something like, oh god, this is not at all the impact I intended for this character to have. If I keep using this character, it's going to have a really toxic effect on humanity. Which sounds kind of silly, but if that creator then kills a bunch of their plans to explore that character further, then that's just a huge shame. I think people should absolutely take things they love and reimagine it into their own creative endeavors. I just think there's a really fine balance between expressing yourself creatively and bombarding the original creator with toxic behavior. I think this section is probably the most appropriate to throw this little anecdote in. I tend to see some pretty nasty things thrown at me from people because of fictional things they have read in fan fiction written by other people about fictional events that they have made up that are not true, that puts the reader in a fit of rage. Hey, Editing PJ here. So whilst trying to make this point, I realized that I forgot to say why it puts people in a fit of rage. People send me hate because of things that people have written about me in their fan fiction. For example, maybe PJ makes out with someone in one of these stories, and the reader doesn't agree with that plot point. The lines have been blurred between fiction and reality. Back to the video. And that's kind of not cool, so please don't do that. So all of this still begs the question, do the actions of a few members of a fandom represent the entire fandom? Still, no. No matter how extreme those actions may be, accountability and responsibility still falls on the individual. At least in my opinion. The key message I want you to take away from my entire point is this. Judge a piece of art on its own merit, not on people judging the art. That is my roundabout way of saying that the art and the people who consume the art are two different entities. That's a great place for me to stop. I think I've said everything I need to say now. Also, it's a heat wave right now, so I'm literally melting, but I want this discussion to continue. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. I've only managed to reference a few examples in this video, but I'm positive that collectively, everybody watching this video could give us an insight into a million different fandoms and a million different points of views. Just a reminder, please be civil and respectful with what other people are passionate about. Equally, if someone doesn't like something that you like, that's also totally fine. I look forward to reading your comments below. Whew. That was a marathon. I hope you made it all the way to the end. If you did, please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Maybe even share it if you think some of the points I made in this video were pretty interesting. I also want to remind you that my UK tour space trip is happening next month. We're getting close, people. Tickets are still available, so if you want to come see the show, link in the description. Please do come along if you can. It's going to be a blast. We're working really, really hard on developing it to be an amazing show. There's still a few surprises up our sleeves that we're yet to announce, but it's all shaping up really nicely so far. Cool. Thank you so much for watching this, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!